Welcome to today's episode, the podcast where we discuss the most recent installment of a different series every show. It is Monday, December 15th, the 5-year anniversary of when Tom Cruise decided to explode on the crew of Mission Impossible 7.
Yeah.
That went viral at the time. And people fell into two camps. Some were Tom Cruise enthusiasts saying, yeah, he's sticking up he doesn't want his movie production to end. And the other ones were like, what a dick. So which one did you fall into?
I understood. I think I was on his side because that
Really?
was for Dead Reckoning. And yeah, that was December 2020. So COVID was still a huge thing.
So you're on the side of Scientology.
No, I did not
That's what I
say
understand.
that.
Okay. Dick Van Dyke also turned 100 years old over the weekend. That's impressive.
Yeah, because I remember last year he did that Coldplay video for 99.
Yeah.
But 100, yeah.
Okay, but they celebrated it for a really long time. I think 101, he's going to need a break. Like, he's not going to be doing anything. Maybe when he gets to 105, 200, that's
Do you
when
think he's still going to show up in anything?
I think he's going to do more now.
You think he's going to do more now?
No, I don't know what he's going to do. But Betty White, she did Hot in Cleveland. We never got a chance to review Hot in Cleveland. In fact, today's episode, Ciudad de Sombras, the pilot, which we're reviewing, is the last review we'll do this year. Next week, we're going to come out with our best of, worst of episodes and shows. And collectively, I think we come out with 10 best, 10 worst of each category.
Yep, 5 for you, 5 for me.
And we've got 100 shows that we've watched this year, over, I think, 300 episodes worth of content. It's interesting, What do you know what you are going to name your best show right now?
Yeah,
Okay.
I already have my list set up.
And should I just ask you what it is right now?
No.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, back to Ciudad de Sombras. It's based off a book.
Yes,
And
it was the executioner of Gaudí, or in Spanish, El Verdugo de Gaudí.
And it
Gaudí,
takes
yeah.
place in Barcelona, which I've been to once, a long time ago.
Did you see any landmarks that you
I
recognize?
saw some naked beaches. I saw a lot of naked beaches. And, of course, there's a million different, architectural feats. And the food is amazing. Tapas are amazing in Spain anyways. But, yeah, so this is the second series that we've done where a main character's name is Milo.
Yeah,
I found
the
that interesting.
first one was All Her Fault.
All her fault.
And that was the kid.
That was the kid. I guess Milo is probably a more popular name in Spain, and he is going to be our detective that we're following. But this takes place in October of 2010, right?
Okay, yeah. So
You don't know that?
I didn't know.
Okay, well, it takes place in the past, and my question was this book isn't based off of a specific set of murders, right?
No, it was the book was fiction, but have you ever heard of what a hard-boiled book is before?
Yes.
Okay, could you describe it?
No, because I forget. It's like a crime thriller novel, right?
It's a realistic crime novel that has cynical characters, violence, and characters that are also morally ambiguous.
I don't think that this guy's morally ambiguous. At one point in the episode, he says you need to hire a psychopath to find a psychopath. So I was like, okay, are you calling yourself a psychopath there, or do you think that everybody just thinks you're a psychopath? Because he is on probation. Our main
Right.
character is on probation because he hit a cop, his superior, as it turns out, and he's been only called in, kind of similar to Task. Do you remember how
Interesting.
Task started? Where Mark Ruffalo's character, he's called in by his boss, and he doesn't want to come back. He doesn't
Right.
want to run an FBI investigation, but he is kind of coerced into doing so. The reason why he doesn't want to do that is because he's dealing with his own trauma from his past. So is Milo.
Reminds me so much of Department Q.
Yeah, also Department Q. So, but yeah, no, exactly. So Milo, he has his nephew's death. Suicide is what they call it. We only see backflashes. They seem to be happy together. They show an image of his funeral where his nephew has a skateboard on top of his coffin. And that was just an interesting choice because I would think that would lead me to believe that maybe he died while skateboarding. But he committed suicide.
Is there any question as to is there a possible chance it wasn't suicide?
That's what I mean. They haven't straight out outlaid that, because even Milo has just said, yeah, this is a suicide. But I think that he suspects something possibly could have happened differently. And that's where it's kind of similar to Untamed. Was that the Eric Bana show?
Yeah, the one that on
where
the mountain.
He's also dealing with trauma. He's also stuck with a new partner. He's also having to run his own investigation.
If you had to describe the series in one word, and there is a right answer because it seems like every article that's reviewed this has said it.
Is it in Spanish? Because I don't know.
No. It's just, but it starts with a G. Is that
Gaudí?
how?
Okay, so just Gaudí?
No, gritty.
Oh, gritty. Well, I'm saying Gaudí because every episode deals with these landmarks. Even every title is a
Yes.
different landmark in Barcelona. It feels like I'm watching a cleverly disguised, but not so much disguised version of them trying to sell people going and visiting these places. And how do you sell it best? You conduct murders right on top of them.
It's
But
like
I
it's like whenever you go to, like, Sydney in Australia. I remember I traveled there once, and there was always this channel that would play, like, movies, like American movies, but it always, like, had Sydney at least in some part of it.
Right, and they're even appealing to the American audience because the partner that he gets stuck with, Rebecca, they're like, she's from Madrid, but she also stayed time in the US. And then they never go back to it. I was expecting her to splice in some English every once in a while, and I was really sad to find out that she'd passed away in real
She
life.
Yeah, she passed away back in August this year. She was 42 due to cancer. This is her final role.
I
And
thought this was one of 2 final roles that she did,
I
but
think that I think it's supposed to be her final one, but the episode had a note of remembrance, right?
it may have, but again, I was mostly interested in what I was watching. I didn't even realize it was the second character until I was looking up names, and I was like, "Wow, that's sad." The way that the show how do we segue back into the happiness of the show? I'll give you a Barcelona fact. Did you
Okay.
know that Barcelona was, approached to, receive the Eiffel Tower first before France? And they
Really?
said, "No, thank you."
They didn't want it?
No. In
Oh,
fact,
cause of
France didn't
cost?
even want it. Yes, because of cost and also because some artists said, "This is gonna be ugly." And it's funny that a city so filled with, Antoni Gaudi's, work and, like, it's just crazy stuff where, like, even in the first episode here, it's called what? La Pedrera Casa Mila?
Right.
I haven't been there, but, it's got this facade that has no right angles, and so it's undulating, and you get to watch that for a few scenes because they keep on visiting there because that's the place of the murder. Where am I going with this? Oh, okay, so yeah, they were like, we don't want your straight edge uh, Eiffel Tower. You stick to France, and so it only became like famous later on. Another thing that Barcelona has is all those beaches, but apparently many of them are man-made, and that happened after the '90s Olympics. And so we do see Milo. He has a tough first day back
Yeah.
in the office, and he goes and takes a little swim.
Right, that was I was gonna say, doesn't he end up using the beach in this
Right. So
episode?
I think they're showing off the landmarks. They're showing the things you can do, like swimming.
See, that's it. Barcelona has been on my top list of, like, places I would like to visit
You've been to
sometimes.
Spain. You've been
Yes,
to
Madrid.
Madrid. You just haven't made it to Barcelona down there. Okay. Yeah. So let's start off the episode. It begins with a man on fire.
Right.
We should also say that there's been City of Fire, The City is Ours, City of God. Now we have City of Shadows. In fact, I think there's City of Bones, and then you say Shadow and Bones, and then City of Shadows. This is part of the
You could go
Shadowverse.
on, yeah, you could just keep going on forever.
Uh-huh. And so, as I said, Gaudi, he built this thing. It was one of his last, I think, designed architectural feats. And so everybody who has ever been to Barcelona, who's seen this thing, would know it instantly when they see a man being driven there. This is a CEO of a construction company. He's been starved for 5 days, and he has motor oil and gasoline poured on him, and
Oh,
then he's set on fire. And the person who did it, who wears a motorcycle mask in this episode, then releases the video of it. I guess he uploads it on YouTube or something, and he also puts a bit of graffiti right outside.
do you actually see, like, the body when you see the video? Like, do you
Yes.
actually
Oh,
see so
absolutely.
you
And
see it
Milo,
burn?
you see it through Milo's eyes. He decides to watch that thing more than once. I mean, he is in charge of the investigation. He gets called in, like I said, similar to Ruffalo's character in Task. And the difference is that like half the squad or everybody knows what he did. Everybody knows the last time he was in there, he punched Singla. That's the name of his superior, and that guy is going to be up his grill the entire time and does not want him there. And also, they're sticking him with Rebecca, this newbie. However, she doesn't have the trope that most new rookie characters get, which is that they're inexperienced.
Right.
She's not like that. It,
Okay, so no, this is just so much like Department Q because it starts off with a gruesome murder, and then you have the main character, and like we said, he's kind of like Milo in this case, but then he also gets someone that's supposed to be new, but that is that is experienced as well. That
Yeah,
like
but
isn't bad at their job.
Rebecca is so, I guess, like strict. She's like, Rebecca, I'm not here to make friends Garrido. That's her name. Like, and at first I thought it was Grillo, like Frank Grillo. But no, it's Garrido. And she's already got like a full out thought process as to who conducted this murder. Like she's watching the footage with Milo again. They're both visiting and retracing the murderer's steps, but she already has like a fully fledged formed plan of like who this killer is probably like he's not just doing it for fun. This was an artistic setup. He's probably got some personal vendetta against whoever he's doing this to, and he's going to do it again. That
Reminds me a little bit of like Hannibal. I know the killers that they would often do. It usually wasn't just the fact that they would kill someone in those shows. It was or that show was like a big thing that it was always the presentation of the murder.
Absolutely. And so that's why it's going to be at all these different Gaudi landmarks. That's why the next episode is also labeled, I forgot what it was called, but it's just another really fancy building, right? And so I'm assuming that's where the other murder happens. At the end of the episode, what happens is another rich dude who is Scrooge McDucking it. Like he is forking money into his bag as he's leaving a
Oh,
place.
literally, like not with a fork, but like he was actually taking money. Like you see it.
Tons of it. He's just grabbing the stuff and say, I think that's what they think rich people do is that they just transfer money from one place to But he leaves his office with a bag full of money and he goes downstairs into the garage and he picks up a turtle, like, or something, a stuffed animal for a kid. He gets into his car. And then, very similar to what we see with Dexter Morgan, where he injects someone with knockout juice.
Yeah.
That's what happens to him. He's driving along and from the back seat, always check your back seat, people. Someone nabs him and sticks this knockout formula into his veins, and I guess he's going to be starved as well. But they say I take that back because they say they found a new body. So either
Oh,
that
so
happened in
that
the past, but what it does is it proves that Milo and Rebecca were right that this guy is going to be a serial killer, and that really annoys Singla because by the end of the episode he has flamed on Milo's character. He's been like, "You think you want to keep this investigation going?" Like it's the same argument you heard from Untamed, where he's like, "I'm not ready to wrap it up yet," and all the park wants to do is end things and make people feel safe.
But with Rebecca, because obviously this is supposed to be like an ongoing thing until they catch the person. With Rebecca, it's usually in these shows like not the first person that they suspect.
They don't really have any suspects. It's a very small cast show, despite everything. Like you do know our main two, and then you meet the boss who hired him. You see Singla, and then you see the psychiatrist. But other than seeing the motorcyclist, the helmet, which he always has on, we don't know if it's a girl or a guy. It's probably a guy because he's able to haul the guy, his victims, up some stairs and stuff like that.
Okay, so between all the themes, because it seems like they're juggling a lot, it's like Milo's personal trauma, but then you also have like Barcelona's social divisions and the procedural
Right. No, so
format.
one thing that it does is that you keep on getting these splice clips of its history as well. So I talked about how it shows off the architecture, it shows off the beaches, but it also likes to show off the past. It's like, this is us from the 1920s, this is us from the 1980s, this is us now.
Oh, is that why
The
they were looking
same
at
places.
photos? Yeah, I think
It wasn't really photos. It was like live action, kind of like what you would from a projector, where it was like spinning. You know, you get that like little dot in the corner, and looks old timey. It reminds me a little bit of how like El Eternata. It was all about the culture and trying to show off, even though it was like the sci-fi dark. Dark sci-fi alien invasion thing. It was still being like, well, look at the beauty behind Argentina and everything that's going on here. Barcelona, the same thing. It's just they're capturing maybe the sentiment, even though there's a dark story around it. But speaking of the dark story, one of my favorite scenes because of how crazy it was his going to therapy. Because obviously Milo has this issue, and within the first day he has to go to therapy.
Department Q, I'm telling you, like this just seems like there's so many beats they took from it. Just talking about Barcelona really fast. It's been called a love letter to Barcelona, and they
Yeah, no, but
wanted
that's
people
the exact wording they used for the Argentinian like series El Eternata. Like they
right.
said, it's a love. It's always a love letter.
And you're
It's never
supposed
not a love letter. It's never a hate letter.
well, I mean, and also, yeah, the creators are talking about how you were supposed to learn about Barcelona along the way, so everything you're
I'm
saying
more
makes
interested
sense.
in the Department Q references because that's where we get to break down. The show follows certain tropes and it takes away from other ones. I like that it's only 38 minutes. I was able to really like understand everything that happened in one fell swoop, and it's digestible in that way, rather than just like a really, really drawn out first 90-minute episode where you're just kind of bored through half of it and you're just being introduced slowly through characters. But at the same time, because of that, you have to introduce so much trauma to this Milo guy in the first episode. His therapist is going at it like a speed run. Like it's you know, when you go to therapy, I haven't been to therapy, but like whenever I think of therapy, they let the person be the one to bring up the
Yes.
trauma
Yes, they do.
first.
To lead it,
Not
yeah.
this lady, not Judy Gage. The first thing she asks him is, "Why did you punch the guy?" And so he starts off by saying, "Well, I punched Singla because I was angry, and it's just a temper thing, and he's stupid, but like I shouldn't have done it, and I'm trying to get better." And then she was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. But then you also have a nephew that killed himself," and he was like,
Jeez.
"Yeah, my nephew killed himself." And then she's like, "And your marriage was destroyed because of that, right?" And he was like, "Yeah, that happened too." And then she followed that up with, "And your dad, then he had schizophrenia, right? And he like beat you?" And he was like, "Yep, that's me in a nutshell."
I was gonna ask what you learn about, like, the events surrounding his suspension prior to the first
You
episode,
get a lot of
but
information that you're able to write into a book, and I guess they had to cram it all into one
that seems
section.
exposition just filled, like,
But it
they
was
were like
also funny because it was like he was probably fine going into that therapy session, but leaving it and having just people just like rip that Band-Aid off every single personal trauma you've ever gone through, and then having to watch a man on fire for like 20 minutes straight just burn, and then having to go to the place where it happened and diagnose exactly whose mind, like that is not a healthy lifestyle. No wonder he wanted to take that break in the pool. And then he almost got fired later on. So yeah, this terrible day for the guy. He ends up yelling at Rebecca, and he's like, "You are a freaking spy. You are telling all our like you're the one who told Singla that we have this theory that it could be a serial killer. We knew he wasn't going to like that. We should have waited." And she's like, "I'm not going to lie." And he's like, "Well, then you're a spy." And then he leaves. And I like that scene because, again, it doesn't show that she's inexperienced. It shows that she doesn't give a crap about anything except for the case.
Whose side are you on in that scene?
Oh, Rebecca's totally.
Okay, so
But I understand that Milo is just like beaten down.
well,
He's
yeah, I mean, 'cause my question is, it seems like that therapist has the idea that, like, you confront the patient almost with, like,
true, or maybe
everything that
she is like Hannibal and she's trying to drive him towards something bad.
yeah, and Hannibal again. But, I wanted to ask because you brought up the fire scene a couple times. Is that the only time that, like, a death happens in the TV
No, I told you at
series?
the end of the episode, the guy with the money, the Scrooge
R
McDuck
right,
guy.
right, right, but I meant more, like, kind of action scene?
In the first episode,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, alright, so this is definitely then supposed to just be focusing on that case. I was wondering if it was supposed to be, like, a case by week thing because there's
It is
been
a case by week because next week we're going to be tackling this new rich dude who got hurt, but it's all, I think, the same serial killer. I think again, it's based off a book. The book isn't about a dozen different cases. I think
yes.
it's about one specific
But
one.
there are 4 books that come out. In
Oh,
fact, I
okay.
think most recently, the 4th book was called Molitor, and I think it came out in 2023, late
Yeah.
2023.
One of the things that I was originally a little skeptical about is like how they were able to break into this really famous monument and like go up to the top, string someone up and light them on fire, film it, get down within like 15 minutes and have no one see you besides like one guy who films it too. And the way it makes a lot more sense when you look at what happened to the Louvre earlier
Right, I
this
was
year.
gonna say in fact, I was gonna bring up Lupin, but you're talking about the actual, like, Louvre.
Right, and how they were able to map out in like 15 minutes. They were able to steal. They didn't have much security that was watching. And like I've been places, like, famous landmarks where I look in the different times of the day, in the middle of the night. Like you will get instances where things just clear out. Like if you're in Washington D.C. and you're seeing like the Washington Monument and stuff like that, there's not going to be a lot, or at least there wasn't 10 some years ago when you're a kid and it's and you're seeing something in the middle of the night. Like there's not going to be a lot of
Yeah,
security
this
to
was
stop you.
this was, like, early 2010s, right, when you
Yes, this
went?
is 2010. Maybe that's why they pulled it back then because they were like less cameras, less. It's because the only clues that they have is that they have footage of the van the guy was driving, which just says something like "Make Barcelona Pretty," and also the fact that he made a G symbol with graffiti on the ground, which they assume to. Oh, that's what you meant by gritty?
Yeah. Well,
Okay,
no.
but
I guess I meant
no, no,
what?
no.
Sorry.
But like the G is supposed to be a connection to Freemasons there, and so they're going to look at all these like Masonic. I forgot how you say the word, but like uh, Freemason societies, and try to figure out if one of them has a vendetta against rich people.
So,
Yeah,
okay, they don't know how they actually did it because I remember, like, one of the things about Lupin was I understand that these are 2, like, completely different shows,
yeah.
but
You're getting from the antagonist perspective in Lupin.
oftentimes I remember, like, the first scene was that he broke into the Louvre, but the show didn't show any, like, way as to how he actually did it. He just suddenly, like, would usually be in it or something.
Right. I That's not exactly what I remember. What I remember is that he like they rolled out the red carpet and then he went into a really exclusive rich person event where he like masqueraded as a guy. They changed his Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
It wasn't this. It wasn't that just going straight up because this is one of those places. It reminds me of kind of like San Juan and how they would have the castles there and how even in the nighttime you could go up and just like walk around the castles. Like these aren't areas that would normally be anything other than just tourist locations that someone could walk around even without a ticket.
Okay, I mean, that makes more sense. But with Milo, I do have a couple characters that have always left the force or been kind of hard edged, and I wanted to see from different TV shows, like just kind of get your opinions on them as like similarities and differences.
Hmm.
So the first one I have was Vic Mackey, the Shield.
Yeah, no, like we haven't seen him do anything like against the law. Like he doesn't have this ego about him where he's like I'm better than everyone. It's more just like I'm just really upset with things in my life.
What about Rustin Cole, which was Matthew McConaughey in True Detective?
I mean, Matthew McConaughey's performance is like two-parter there because he comes in and he does the interviews and he's nothing like his like older half. Maybe if you're talking just about his younger version, but McConaughey's character was also a lot more, I think, kind of like Rebecca more
Oh, okay.
than Milo.
So then Woody Harrelson, is that any more like Milo?
Milo's not really offering too much in the first episode, to be honest. Like he is following along with what Rebecca's saying. He's getting into a bit of a turf war or whatever. Singla's pissing him off, and so he might get punched again. But I think in the end, he'll probably offer more as the investigation goes on. He'll show why he's necessary to it. But yeah, no, Rebecca's really the one who's leading charge here, and she
She's
does
doing
in
the
like
heavy
10 minutes.
lifting.
She does in like 10 minutes. She already had the theory even beforehand, and it just seems like yeah, she just wants to get this done with and catch the guy as quick as possible.
Are the police depicted well on the show? Because usually with American shows, especially now, they try to hint at like some type of corruption in the police department.
So far, not really corruption as much as just this like anger that's focused, but and the idea that they would promote someone stupid that he doesn't like. I do have a couple fears of the show that it's going to just turn out to be a moral lesson. Like that'll be the entire run is just that these CEOs are scummy. You'll get like a Squid Game evil guys. You know, when I saw him loading up cash into the thing, either he was paying someone off right then and there. I would assume that's where they're going with it, or he just transfers money like that all the time. And like there's one note CEO guys who are on the face because of their PR team liked by the city. And
Right.
so, but like once they do a little bit of scratching,
Deep dive.
it's not going to be a deep dive at all, but like they'll be able to determine that these guys had a connection to why the killer was happening or why the killer decided to make such a big deal about their deaths. You would think that the killer, if they wanted to make some sort of statement, would say it more than just with the graffitied G. But and then there's that, or they'll weigh too heavily on the sadness, the guilt, the PTSD. Because like if that weighs down a show too much, we've seen in most crime dramas, like the PTSD character just like suffer with it, and it gets a little long in tooth after a while. So
What would you give the show out of 10?
6.5 out of 10.
6.5. Is
There's
that mostly
nothing
because of
wrong with
this?
the episode, and I've been to Barcelona. I elevate it because of all the Barcelona cool
I
stuff.
was going to say, is that mostly because of the cinematography?
Yeah, it'd be a 5 out of 10 as far as just a crime show right now. I do find it interesting how they burned a guy alive in the first couple scenes. And then I also found the stuff with the flashbacks of the city, which were pretty cool. It's not enough to be like La Casa de Papel. The plot isn't like super intriguing. It's just we're gonna run after the serial killer who's killing people in an interesting fashion. So yeah, we'll see where it goes.
It's gotten mixed to positive reviews. I know that the
It just
review
came out.
Yeah, but the review geek gave it 2.5 out of 5 stars, the pilot, and they said that's interesting, but it also is stumbling and not a good look for the rest of the series. However, like on Spanish articles, which are going to be most of the people reviewing it, the show has gotten good reviews. Leisure Bite said it's a solid crime show, and then yeah, the series was shot at the end of 2024 in Catalonia, Spain, and primarily Barcelona. So, and DM Talkies gave the series 3 out of 5 stars and says that it covers a lot of ground. And then El País said it will alienate those seeking lighthearted entertainment. It was weird to me because, again, City of Shadows, and it's supposed to be gritty because it's based on a hard-boiled detective series. But they also said that it was interesting at some parts as well. So overall, it's gotten good reviews.
Cool, cool. Yeah, and it rounds out our 100th show of the year. Next time you hear from us, it's going to be our worst of first. Is
More
that
stuff, yes.
worst of 10 worst episodes of the year, 10 worst
Shows.
shows of the year as well. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next episode. Hope you enjoyed this one. Bye.
Bye.